Alright, guys, this is your boy like one F and Duo. As the Generation End video, this is could be a Generation End video as well too, but it's a discussion piece. Xbox is the topic of this week, and it's sad to say that. Again, you'll see. I already did the Generation End video, so you'll see what I'm talking about in that. But again, I literally, for anybody who's hating or whatever, I literally, I literally said, I hope Xbox do better this generation. Because I have no problem having competition. I have no problem wanting games. As Freud said in the comment before the video came out, Xbox set up itself as dude bro, shooter, all that stuff like that. There's some shooters out there that's fun. And there's a lot that's just greedy, grinding, whatever, and streamable, and people want to do that. You know what? It's not for me, but it's for other people. So I have no problem with other people enjoying some games even I don't enjoy. Xbox was that brand for a certain while. I was looking forward for Perfect Dark. I was looking forward to even though I didn't like the design of Joanna Dark, I'll tell you that for sure. But I was looking forward for Perfect Dark. And other games that it was gonna come up from it. Otherwise looked like it might be something. But it goes to the point again that they showed something off and it fizzled away. That's why I laughed back in 2015 when people were saying, oh, Nintendo is this, whatever. E3, Nintendo was last place to suck. Here's the thing. With the Wii U and everything. Nintendo showed games in the E3 that y'all said, oh, they, whatever. But here's the problem. Now, here's the good part. All those games Nintendo showed at E3, magically, all those games came out within the year of of the E3. So, what's the problem in that now?
Pretending Xbox matters, and in my opinion, all signs indicate a.
Let's go with Lady Decade, and like I said, just a conversation piece about Xbox. Her video is called
dark future for
Xbox. Microsoft is done with Xbox, pretending Xbox matters. So again,
Microsoft is done pretending Xbox matters, and in my opinion, all signs indicate a dark future for the brand. Something is clearly dying at Microsoft, and is not for a lack of money, yet seemingly unethical things are continuously occurring.
Yep.
In the summer of 2025, Microsoft initiated one of the most brutal creative purges in gaming history. Entire studios were shuttered, long-promised games were cancelled, and veteran developers were laid off, many without warning. These weren't the desperate acts of a struggling company. On the contrary, they came as Microsoft's gaming division celebrated what Phil Spencer called our most profitable year ever. Let that sink in. Yep. Not just a profitable year, but the most profitable in Xbox's history. Okay. A year where gaming revenue climbed, Game Pass subscriptions grew, and Microsoft's overall net profit exceeded $25 billion in a single quarter. And yet, the same people who built that success were the first to go. So, without further ado, let's explore why Microsoft just completely gutted Xbox, despite clearly already making a lot of money. I am Lady Decade.
So there you go. You make a lot of money, and you lose it. It's just like with Tango Games, with Hi-Fi Rush. Indie Darling did good, did great, and you still shut down a studio that made it. I tell you, they want to become the Google Stadia of gaming. That's what their goal is. And I've been saying it from since you go back to my videos back in 2014 when I said Xbox want to make Microsoft want to make Xbox just a service that they can add on to Windows. That's all they want.
Apologies for the slightly different production style today. I'm currently on the road across Serbia. However, this ridiculous story is too shameless to ignore. So grab some popcorn, as It is time to discuss the latest AAA mess unfolding in America.
Yep.
Well, American gaming has sadly devolved into a bit of an embarrassing mess with Xbox gutted and $400 million disasters like Concord stinking up the room.
Yep.
There's still hope on the horizon, and it's coming from Europe and Asia. Using my affiliate link below, you can grab some of the most exciting titles the viewers pre-order. These are
Okay, I wanted just to skip that first. No disrespect to Lady Gak, but yeah.
Microsoft's financial results in 2025 read like a tech investor's dream. In just the third quarter, the company had generated $70.1 billion in revenue, up 13% year over year, with a staggering $25.8 billion in net profit. It was the most profitable quarter in the company's history. Gaming wasn't excluded from that success. Xbox content and services rose 8%.
And she's gonna say what I just said, so I'm gonna be running back. But I'm not surprised because when you don't have to create games, but just license the services and make money off of it, you gonna make money because you ain't gotta produce nothing.
Excluded from that success, Xbox content and services rose 8%, fueled by Game Pass growth and a renewed push into multi-platform publishing. This was not a floundering decision, this was a division in the black. And yet, as the numbers soared, the axe came down. Across the 2024 and 2025 periods, Microsoft laid off over 15,000 employees, with 9,000 job cuts landing in a single sweep in July, most of them from the gaming division.
Yep.
Entire studios were shuttered, veteran developers were blindsided, games years into development were abruptly cancelled. It wasn't just ruthless, it was surreal. In an internal memo, Phil Spencer wrote, "We are making changes that will result in job eliminations for some of our colleagues. While incredibly difficult, these changes are grounded in ensuring our long-term success." That same memo also praised the division's performance. "We've just had the most profitable year ever. Our platform, hardware, and game roadmap have never looked stronger." A Halo developer responded,
The hardware part, yeah, I don't believe that, Philly boy. You're blowing smoke up people's butts.
bluntly, "I wasn't sure what part of that I was supposed to be proud
Proud of.
about." This contradiction, record success and record layoffs, only makes sense when viewed through the warped lens of corporate finance. These cuts aren't about failure or survival, they're about efficiency, margin expansion, and shareholder return.
Now I laugh about this because again, what company's not greedy? Every company, but everybody hit Nintendo's greed. Yeah, okay. Nintendo's greedy. Nintendo's a greedy company. Angry man. Nintendo's a greedy company. All please. Okay.
Microsoft is currently investing $80 billion into AI infrastructure, and that money has to come from somewhere. Cancelled projects, reduced headcount, and automated workflow are how the company funds its ambitions while still maintaining 94% of its free cash flow for stock buybacks and dividends. And the cruel irony, profitability is no longer a shield. On the contrary, it's a bullseye. When a division like Xbox can deliver its best numbers ever and still be gutted, then it becomes clear success no longer secures your place. It marks you for extraction. Or as one laid off of 343 Industries developer put it, "This isn't a pivot, it's a eulogy." The July 2025 layoffs weren't just about cutting headcount, they were a scorched earth campaign against Xbox's creative backbone.
Yep.
This wasn't a pruning, it was an amputation. The most recognizable, ambitious, and culturally significant studios were targeted, the ones that defined what Xbox meant creatively. The most symbolic loss was The Initiative, a studio formed in 2018 to create so-called quadruple A cinematic blockbusters.
Ain't that funny? It was AAA. Now you want quadruple A, and you can't even produce a quadruple A situation. Ain't that gonna be it? I mean, the only quadruple A would be basically Grand Theft Auto 6 because of the budget. But other than that, yeah. See, y'all talk too much shit.
Thanks with veteran talent from Naughty Dog, Respawn, and Crystal Dynamics, it was meant to be Microsoft's prestige answer to Sony's first-party dominance.
Please.
Their Perfect Dark reboot
Yep.
had already been unveiled with gameplay teased
Yep.
and then cancelled.
Exactly.
The studio is now closed. Next came Turn 10 Studios, the team responsible for Forza Motorsport, one of Xbox's flagship franchises. Over 70 employees, roughly half of the studio, were laid off, with reports suggesting that the core team was disbanded entirely. One ex-developer wrote, Turn 10 has shuttered the Forza Motorsport space. The team is no more. The Forza name may survive elsewhere, but the original creators are out. Then there was Rare, the
Lord.
legendary British studio behind Banjo-Kazooie and Sea of Thieves. Their new IP, Everwild, was in development since 2019, plagued by internal reboots, yet still had promise. In a recent update, Phil Spencer claimed the project was making progress. Weeks later, it was cancelled. Its creative director, Greg Mayles, departed after 35 years at Rare. The game vanished. So did the legacy.
And I'll say this again. The two brothers who sold Rare to Microsoft, they said back in 2008, I did a video about this later back, when in the Wii U age, they're like, the worst thing we have done was to sell Rare to Microsoft. One brother was more animate than the other one, but yeah, both of them, they said that was the stupidest decision they ever made, was to sold. He should have stick with Nintendo. I wonder what happened. What would have happened if they stick to Nintendo? Oh, I think we'd have already got a Perfect Dark game again, which would have been good. I think we'd have gotten another Donkey Kong 3D without the Bananas is coming out, so I ain't arguing about that. We might have got another 3D Donkey Kong game, that's for sure. Or we might have gotten a new IP, maybe some Diddy Kong racing games. Just saying.
ZeniMax Online Studios suffered a quieter blow. Their secret MMO project, codenamed Blackbird, was abruptly cancelled, despite reportedly entering full production. Developers were locked out of their work accounts before an announcement was made.
Wow.
One artist wrote, "We didn't even get a chance to announce it. Years of world building gone in a Slack notification."
Yep.
Elsewhere, the cuts were equally brutal. At King, makers of Candy Crush, 10% of staff were laid off, including the entire narrative and UX teams. At Blizzard, Warcraft, Rumble was effectively shuttered, moved into maintenance mode after internal attempts to revive it failed. Even Halo's developers, once the crown jewel of Xbox, weren't spared. Staff described morale as non-existent, with one writing, "Nobody's happy, and we're not proud of what we're building anymore." Blizzard Albany, formerly Vicarious Visions, long absorbed into the Blizzard machine after their work on Diablo 2 Resurrected, was quietly dissolved as part of the restructuring. No fanfare, no statement. These aren't just pink slips. These are cultural amputations. Studios with decades of history, franchises with loyal global audiences, and projects nurtured for years are completely discarded overnight. And none of this
I got a weird theory that it's so weird that these big companies buy up all these small studios so they don't have no competition. So gamers, like true gamers, I could say, don't get me wrong how I feel it, but true gamers would just come towards them to get stuff, like I said, because I have not bought an EA game since Henry's Hatworth. That's the last awesome EA game I've ever bought. Other than that, never touched that publisher again. Can't say that for Ubisoft, because I bought Lost Kingdoms, Lost Crown, and that was a really good game. I bought Starlink, that was a good game too. But those didn't sell because it was not the game people wanted. And again, you want to know why we don't get everybody's pushing Ubisoft to. Again, you speak with your wallet. By not buying those games, you push Ubisoft to put more money into Assassin's Creed, which is becoming more of a flopper, and other big games, Siege or whatever, and that online games and stuff. Y'all spend y'all money, y'all use your money to vote wrongly. That's what it is. You speak with your wallet, and that's what you're getting. And you think we should make a difference now?
Was random. No legacy is too sacred from Microsoft. No IP is too iconic. Microsoft haven't just fired people, they've just fired their own creative identity. What's left isn't innovation or renewal, it's a hollowed out brand coasting on momentum and memory while its most meaningful contributors are gone. If this is an Xbox, then nothing is.
Exactly.
Then nothing is. In late 2024, Microsoft unveiled a new slogan. This is an Xbox.
Yep.
It was pitched as bold, forward-thinking and inclusive, but
really.
beneath the sleek marketing and aspirational tone, it wasn't a mission statement, it was a redefinition and a quiet obituary. The campaign sought to stretch the word Xbox until it meant almost nothing at all.
Yep.
A smart TV running Game Pass? Xbox. A Samsung Galaxy phone? Xbox. A Lenovo laptop? A Meta Quest headset? The Asus ROG Ally handheld? And yes, even a surreal promotion involving Crocs and egg cartons. This is an Xbox. Internally, Microsoft described the shift as a platform-agnostic redefinition. Outwardly, it was framed as an evolution, but in practice, it's blurred the very identity of the platform because if everything is an Xbox, then Xbox as a console, as a community, as a culture, no longer exists. Nowhere is this clearer than in the ROG Ally partnership. This handheld gaming PC built by Asus will be sold with Xbox branding front and center, but Microsoft didn't design the hardware. They didn't engineer the experience. They licensed their logo. A console maker with one of the largest R&D budgets on Earth chose to outsource its next portable offering to a third party. Not because it couldn't make one, but because it simply doesn't want to. This isn't platform expansion, it's platform evaporation.
Yep.
Microsoft's vision is no longer rooted in hardware, and worst and most telling of all, Phil Spencer has been transparent about this, commenting that we would love to see Game Pass on all platforms. We are open to those discussions. That's not a console strategy, that's a billing model. The future Xbox Microsoft wants isn't a box under your TV, it's a subscription on every device you own.
Exactly.
Game Pass on PlayStation, Game Pass on Nintendo,
Yep.
Game Pass on your phone, your tablet.
And I can tell you this as a person. Even if they put a Game Pass on Switch, I won't buy it. It just ain't. I'm not. Sorry, I can't do it. I bought my games to own my games, but again, yeah, that's my way.
Your fridge. And if there's no console, no dedicated hardware, no exclusives, then what exactly is Xbox? The uncomfortable truth is, Xbox will become just a payments plan, a logo and a launcher, a recurring charge on your bank statement with no physical home and no real allegiance. Microsoft isn't evolving Xbox, they're preparing to bury it and training us to smile at the funeral. But this is just the tip of the iceberg of this current mess. If you've been wondering why every major publisher seems obsessed with producing the same dull, disposable live service game, here's your answer.
Exactly.
It's not about what players want, it's about what investors think players might tolerate. The modern AAA industry is gripped by a near-religious devotion to live service formats and extraction shooters, genres architected around endless monetization loops, not meaningful gameplay. Despite a growing graveyard of failures, Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, Concord and Sega's cancelled Hyenas, publishers continue flooding the market with games nobody asked for and few actually enjoy. The logic isn't creative, it's financial. According to a 2025...
And again, Nintendo's greedy. Remember, Nintendo's greedy. Greedy company. How can Nintendo be so greedy? Okay, all right. They're the greedy ones. Okay, sure. Compared to what? I don't understand.
GDC developer survey, 1/3 of all AAA studios are now working on live service projects. At the same time, 68% of producers report their development pipelines are strained.
That is one of the reasons I have respect for Splatoon. It's a live service game. but it has a story and it has a one player mode. If it didn't have that, I wouldn't buy it. I'll be honest with anybody out there. That's what it was. But Splatoon did that, and it created a game and a culture inside of it.
Or unsustainable. The genre's dominance isn't about fun, it's about a fantasy, the dream of infinite revenue. One analyst compared the mindset to a looter shooter itself. Investors behave like live service players, obsessed with one metric: number
Money.
go up. And just like a bad loot grind, this pursuit is both hollow and self-destructive. These games are no longer designed to be entertaining, they're engineered to be habit-forming.
Yep.
Short dopamine loops, drip-fed cosmetics, battle passes, time-limited FOMO events. It's not game design, it's a casino logic in a controller. The goal isn't to delight players, it's to retain them, to farm them. And when these projects inevitably underperform, as they almost always do, the cost isn't just financial, it's human. Developers spend years building these Frankenstein games, crunching through unsustainable workloads, only to be laid off the moment the KPIs don't impress shareholders. The game flops, the studio shutters, the process restarts somewhere else. As the IGDA recently put it, sustainable development models are being abandoned for speculative profit models, often at the expense of the workforce. And what gets lost along the way are the games people actually want: polished, creative, standalone experiences.
Yep.
These are now considered risky, outdated, or unscalable. Microsoft's layoffs, project cancellations, and shifting strategies aren't a break from this trend, they're its natural endpoint. This isn't about crafting great games, it's about crafting great quarterly earnings. In that environment, your enjoyment is irrelevant, just another line item in a risk report.
Yep.
And as we'll see next, once a company stops prioritizing meaningful experiences, it starts to ask an even more dangerous question. Why bother keeping anything exclusive at all?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Why should we care? Why should we give these plebeians something if they're just gonna give us our money? If we're gonna get some girls on Twitch and stuff to show their tatas and half of their vaginas and stuff, so people could like, oh my god, I want to be with that girl, whatever, because you gave them money. Your money is your voting voice and your vote. That's why I stated when people was angry against Nintendo with the price of the Nintendo Switch 2, if you don't like it, you don't buy it. That and that person and in one video that tried to tell me that's a dumb argument. How? How is that a dumb argument, angry man? That's so. How is that a dumb argument? If I don't buy it, then I don't get more of it, right? That's all it should be. But because y'all send y'all money to these companies, you're surprised that there's more of this? Come on.
Once upon a time, platform exclusives were the soul of a console.
Exactly.
For Xbox, games like Halo, Fable, Forza, and Gears of War weren't just hits, they were identity.
Yep.
They were the reason to
buy an
in.
Xbox.
But that era is now being quietly, deliberately dismantled. Over the past 2 years, Microsoft has systematically rolled out its former exclusives across rival platforms. Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush arrived on PlayStation and Switch. Sea of Thieves launched on PS5. Grounded and Forza Horizon 5 have followed, and even now, Halo, once Xbox's unsinkable, unshakable flagship, is reportedly next. This isn't a leak or a mistake, it's a strategy. Internally, it's known as Project Latitude, a deliberate pivot away from exclusivity in favor of reach. The logic is simple: if the console audience is shrinking, then the games must travel. The brand isn't strong enough to draw players in, so Microsoft is sending the games out. It's a bold move, but it also erodes the last reason for Xbox to exist as a distinct platform. One industry analyst said it plainly: Once you commit to releasing your tentpole titles on other consoles, you can't put the genie
Back in the bottle.
They're right. Once Halo lands on PlayStation, the ecosystem argument evaporates.
Yep.
Why stay in the Xbox walled garden when the garden gates are wide open? This isn't about player freedom, it's business pragmatism. Microsoft is watching hardware sales nosedive. In some European regions, PlayStation is outselling Xbox 5-1. In Japan, Xbox now holds less than 1% of the console market share. Retailers across Europe are quietly dropping Xbox SKUs altogether. This isn't an expansion, it's retreat. So Microsoft is pulling up the tent poles and chasing volume. More players, more devices, more platforms, but no foundation. And the end result? A brand without a home. If your games are everywhere and your console is nowhere, then what is an Xbox?
Exactly.
The answer is unambiguous, a brand in hospice. This isn't ecosystem growth, it's not generosity, it's not even a strategy, it's brand euthanasia, a slow, polite, carefully worded farewell to the very idea of Xbox as a platform.
And the thing about it is, here's the difference I could give to Sega. Sega's gone on other companies, even though there was a hardware company as well too, right? This Sega lost out because of the numbers and bad decisions. But Sega still have games. Yakuza, Sonic, well, I will say Yakuza, Sonic. I mean, they still have other games. Virtual Fighter, they still have that came out. Forgot that. Like, and then of course they bought Sega with Atlas and stuff like that. They still have games. The most important part of being a gamer is having games, and and Sega still have that. That's why they're still relevant. But Microsoft is giving up their games. They don't even want to produce their games, as Lady Decade is talking about, and I'm seeing too.
And those are still clutching to their Series X consoles, they're not loyalists. They're subscribers, carriers of recurring revenue. Xbox is no longer the goal. It's just one more means to fund Microsoft's real ambitions. But beyond the ridiculous idea of chasing perpetual exponential growth, what even are those ambitions? If you want to understand what's happening to Xbox, you have to stop looking at the games and start looking at the shareholders. Despite all of the PR buzzwords about restructuring, pivoting, and evolving the platform, Microsoft's real strategy couldn't be clearer. They're not building the future of gaming, they're extracting value from it. In 2024 alone, Microsoft returned over $30 billion to shareholders through dividends and stock buybacks. Across multiple quarters, that represented 94% of their free cash flow. That's not an investment. It's not growth. It's financial engineering designed to inflate share price, not enrich creative output.
I give you that, but again, it is a lot. You have to do dividends back to the people who invested. Sorry, but that is true. I get what you're saying, Lady Decade, and I get that. But people invest because they want money, and you cannot negatively not. You could lose money, but if you knowingly losing the money, then that's by law, and they're gonna get the money, and that's even worse. So yeah, you can't do that. I get what you're saying, and I understand it, but it's just the reality of the real world.
Same time, the company is funneling an estimated $80 billion into artificial intelligence infrastructure. That includes cloud data centers, large language model training, and the expansion of Microsoft's proprietary tools like Copilot. CEO Satya Nadella has openly stated that 20 to 30% of code across Microsoft's software stack is now being written by AI, including game-adjacent tech. And this is the real story behind the layoffs. These aren't signs of a struggling business, they're symptoms of a successful business being harvested. Microsoft isn't trimming fat. They're replacing developers with algorithms. They're dissolving
AI.
creative departments to fund machine learning.
Damn.
Studios like Rare and Turn 10 weren't underperforming. They were too expensive to justify keeping alive when that money could be rerouted towards data centers and AI research. Creativity is no longer treated as a core asset, it's a cost center, a liability in an age where scalable, automated solutions are now the new currency. Xbox isn't being dismantled because it failed, it's being dismantled because it succeeded just enough to be broken down for parts. Its revenue funds Microsoft's next pivots. Its developers have been replaced. Its hardware is outsourced.
2014.
Its exclusives are released elsewhere. Its brand becomes little more than a launcher icon for Game Pass.
Yep.
As Satya Nadella recently declared, we are the co-pilot company. Not the Xbox company, not the gaming company, not even the software company anymore. The co-pilot company. And in that vision of the future, there's little room for bespoke hardware, emotional storytelling, or platform legacy. So when studios are shuttered and franchises quietly retired, don't fall for the excuse.
Go back to my original WTF video. I think that was number 2. Episode 2, WTF. I talked about Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. And I talked about Microsoft, and I said that. I said this. Now, let's be honest, it took 10 years to get to this point. But I know it was the inevitable end of what Xbox was going to be.
That they failed to perform. They didn't. They were sacrificed strategically, coldly, and deliberately to bankroll an AI revolution that no one in the gaming world asked for. This is not a collapse. It's not a miscalculation. It's asset liquidation to fund a future where Xbox and perhaps gaming itself is little more than another tool in the enterprise productivity stack. So, what can we learn from all of this?
Don't spend your money on crap.
Xbox was never perfect, but it mattered. It was the last major American console brand, a platform that once dared to challenge Sony and Nintendo, not just with money, but with identity. It gave us Halo, Gears of War, Forza, Xbox Live Arcade, and eventually Game Pass.
And again, that's why I wanted them. That's why when I did my video, I said, I hope Xbox does good in the next generation. I want them to produce stuff to keep things going. They might do something that might help gaming in the future. In creativity, create a new game, a new style of game is something. That's why I wanted the competition of ideas. But
it's built communities, it's courted risks, it's tried. But in 2025, Xbox isn't a console anymore. It's a subscription, a launcher, a lingering logo pinned to the top of the corner of someone else's hardware. It's a name kept alive not by passion or innovation, but by corporate inertia. A legacy brand reduced to a line item on a quarterly earnings report. And here's the most unsettling truth. The rest of the industry is watching. They see a company post record profits, lay off thousands, cancel its most ambitious games, dissolve iconic studios, and still be rewarded for it. They see that you don't need loyal players. You need user metrics. You don't need hardware. You need distribution. You don't need artistry. You need scalability. You don't need to make good games. You just need to make people pay. And then pay again. And again. And again. What's happening to...
And this is why I speak with my wallet. This is why I, Liger, and KV of Nintendo Duo, we bought Nintendo Switch I ain't gonna say day one, but let's say day one. Day one. Why? Because we see that Nintendo, even though the prices went up on their new console, not expected, that's not new, but again, whatever. Mario Kart World has flaws. Not saying it don't. No game is perfect. You know my phrasing. There's no perfect games out there. But it has fun. And I cannot deny the fun I played on Mario Kart World. Donkey Kong Bonanza looked imaginative. I can't wait to play that game because that looks imaginative. Metroid 4, which a game I didn't think we need, but even though I'm a Metroid fan, I'm one of the top tier Metroid fans out there. I didn't think we need because I think you done it with Prime 3, but okay. Some way, some people came with some kind of new style or gave it an idea. And I want to see the execution of that idea for why they created Metroid Prime 4. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment is basically, I know other people were looking for the story and stuff like that. I am not a Dynasty Warriors person to play the games, but I'll tell you this: the breakout games from Dynasty Warriors, I have bought mostly all of them, and I enjoy them. Hyrule Warriors was a good game, had my fun. Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity, very good game, like what they did, and I had fun with it. Fire Emblem Warriors, good game, enjoyed it, had fun with it. Fire Emblem 3 is 3 hopes? Not three. I think it's 3 hopes if I'm wrong, but the Fire Emblem version of that game, play that, enjoy that, work that game, and I had some good back and forth. I love the way that the game puts together, and I enjoyed it. Persona Strikers, good game. I need to finish it, but I like the mix of having the Persona style of fighting and still is an RPG and still carry the story of Persona 5 further than before, than just crash grab and just get a little story. They did that. I enjoy that. That game is so good. I need to finish it, like I said. But that's a good game too. Because when you think about it, I thought it was gonna be like just a regular story, attack, going to fight in whatever and stuff like that. No, they incorporated the RPG style into the Dynasty Warriors formula style of fight, and I enjoy it. And in Age of Imprisonment, I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with that. Ideas. I got games that I'm looking forward to play on my Switch 2 that are exclusive only to the Switch 2. That's what make gaming more better. PlayStation is trying to go away from that. I think they should not do that. That's my opinion. And I think also Xbox should have never done that. But they're going for the money, and I know that was gonna happen from since I made my channel with Katie in 2014 that this is the game. This is what Nadal wanted all the time. Now it's coming to fruition. You guys gave money, as she's talking, gave money to these corporations, as you said. You spoke with your wallet. You voted. Physical game dying off. But Nintendo's the only console that has physical games still back. You don't like the key cards? Whatever. But Mario Kart 8 is a physical game. All the games on there. Donkey Kong Bonanza, yes, it's more expensive, but it's still be on there. Is Mario Kart 8 worth $80? Maybe not to you guys. That's your choice. That's a preference. To me, to Katie, to people I know who play Mario Kart, it's fun. And I'm going to get hours and hours of gameplay out of that fun. That's just what it is. That's the big difference. Y'all don't speak with y'all wallet. Y'all speak with your wallet, but for the worst, for the downfall of gaming. I said once it got mainstream, and you'll hear more of it. I talked more about it in the next video coming up this Friday, the Generation N. But that's, y'all let that happen, and money talks, bullshit walks.
Xbox isn't a fluke, it's a blueprint. This isn't just the quiet end of a console cycle, it's the slow, deliberate erasure of gaming as we knew it. A transformation from creative medium to monetized platform, from entertainment to engagement, from joy to revenue. Developers are being replaced with algorithms. Players are being replaced with data points. Consoles are being replaced with login screens. And maybe that's why this all feels like a funeral. Because if this is what the last American console looks like, maybe we've already lost more than just the brand. Don't forget, as dark as all of this info sadly is, there are still good games regularly coming out of Europe, Japan, and other parts of Asia, which
Yep,
aren't just more live service extraction
which is
shooters.
good.
So, not all is completely lost yet. Get over.
And she's gonna do her commercial, and I respect for her for that. But there you go. But she's right. There are still games coming out, and you speak with your wallet. Give your money to Black Wukong and all the other. I'm just giving an example. You wanted something like that? That's good. Give your money to that. If that's what you want, Dark Souls style game, you want to do that. You want to get Capcom and all that stuff, but Capcom does some evil stuff is there and there too. Don't get me wrong, but just give your money to stuff. Like I said, to the right people. I have not bought every Nintendo exclusive. Why? Because not every Nintendo exclusive needs my money because I'm not interested in it. My sister bought, a lot of people bought Animal Crossing. That's not a franchise that speaks to me, but it speaks to other people. That's cool. See, I could be a Nintendo, as y'all will call fanboy or shill, but I don't buy all Nintendo's games because I am still a customer at the end of the day. I choose what I spend my money on. That's all I could tell you to do. Don't let anybody fool you. I already I did a video about consumer versus customer. Don't be a consumer. When people say anti-consumer, it should be off the duck water off a duck's back. Oh, you're anti-consumer. Thank you. It's just like when people like talk about what was it again? Uncle Tom. For people who really don't know the history. Oh, you're Uncle Tom. And people out, and I've done this many times before. I said thank you, and they're like, "What? See, you don't know the history of Uncle Tom. Tom was a guy who saved slaves, and it was knighted by the king of knighted in by England because he saved slaves. Funny how that works, huh? But nobody knows that because they just think of him as the fool, the Mima fool dancing person, because that's what evil people who want to keep you enslaved did that. And that's all I'm trying to tell you. Don't be a consumer, guys. Be a customer. I would never tell anybody to buy a PlayStation, a Nintendo Switch console, because that's not my channel. I might like Nintendo, but that's not my channel. That's not what I do. I am not a advertisement for Nintendo Switch, too. A free advertisement for them. I just tell people, hey, this is the console. This way it is. This is what I like. As you can see, when I do reviews, I have a playlist called Discussion Reviews. I discuss I talk about the reviews of the game and stuff like that. I don't really give them out point systems and stuff like that because by definition, me buying that game, I'm already biased. Which there's no such thing as unbiased. That's another thing that people need to learn in this world. There's no such thing as unbiased. I already don't bias, and I bought the game, so that's already done there. What else can I say? You do what you do with your money. It's your decision, and please be wise with it. Don't listen to these shills. You're talking about I'm a shill. Those are to other shills say don't buy these companies. Don't buy a Nintendo console. Buy a Steam Deck. The PC guys who want you to buy more PC stuff, they don't. Majority of them don't understand that if the consoles ever go, they won't get the games that they want. They won't. But they think they get the creativity of you got a lot of indie games. No bar none, not gonna deny that. And maybe the indie games might go up more. But when you have a person working on a dedicated hardware to create a game that they have in mind, that's way more easier than a damn PC. As we saw when Cyberpunk came out, it was an unmitigated disaster. And then look at Bethesda. All their games come out, they're basically garbage. And you gotta wait until people mod it to fix it. That's what I'm spending my money on? PC guys? Nah. I put Mario Kart in my Switch and it works. I put Stellar Blade in my PlayStation and it works. Back in the day, if I had to, and if I had an Xbox system, instead of 360 was the one, I put in Halo and it works. That's more easier. That's more better. That's more realizing the creativity of the person than just having an open source all the time. All open sources is not great. Everything, as Thomas Sowell said, everything has a trade off. Everything has a trade off. There's no silver bullet or magic bullet. There's none. That's why I have my phrase of perfect. So again, I'm sorry. I like you do what you do with your money, but look around you and see what other gamers have done on YouTube and all these YouTubers say about gaming. See what they play, see what they do, and see what's going on. The gaming bubble was gonna pop. It popped. The prices has popped. Things are going up. That's the new future. Get with it. If the thing about it, which is so stupid to me now that you see people, if the bubble pop, the price bubble pop, this should make you more interested to be like, shit, let me not spend money on stupid games. Let me spend on games that I like. If you're like a shooter game, okay, go ahead. You want Call of Duty? Spend your money on Call of Duty, whatever. That's not, again, your money, you do what you want. But trash games, the live services and all that stuff, yeah, you ain't gonna see me buy an hours online game. That's one thing you'll never see Liger buy. Have I downloaded a game that kind of like that? Yes. I think it was I forgot what it was on the Wii U, but it was a free to play, so I didn't really care. I ain't paid no money in it. I literally have a mobile game that have is action game. It's Aeons, which is basically is like a free to play version of Unicorn Overlord, that kind of style of gaming. It's a Unicorn Overlord kind of clone, more chibi anime kind of style, whatever. I have gotten up to I am closely into level 100 in this game, with most of my characters being in the 80s, trying to get over to the, well, no, I think 90s is the highest. I have not spent 1 cent, 1 cent on this game. If I spend money, it'll make the game more easy and more fun. But I'm not doing that because I don't want to think you want to give it to me free. Good, I'll play for free. But I ain't spending not a penny on this small effort because I know what the game is set up to be, and I'm not down with that. Oh well. With that said, check out Generation N this Friday. We're gonna get more into this into this video. Microsoft. I am very disappointed. Like I said in that video coming up, and I'll say here now. Sorry, Phil Spencer was a bust. Sarah Bond don't know what they're talking about. What I mean by that, they don't know what they're talking about when it comes to gaming. They knew what they're talking about to shareholders and industry and keeping their jobs. But for other people, they don't. I'm sorry. I had hopes for Phil Spencer to turn around Don Metric, but you know what? And again, that's this part of the video coming up this Friday is explain. I'm gonna explain this part right here more, but it's like, again, Don Metric told the truth. Y'all didn't like him tell the truth. Y'all wanted Phil Spencer to come in to talk sweet nothings in the air, and he lied to y'all. And this is what you get. Sorry, Xbox. That's what you get. All right, with that said, we know there's no perfect games out there. What's perfect to use, perfect to me. What's perfect to me is not perfect to you. Simply enjoy your games on all consoles, including PC and mobile devices. Peace out.